There are few people that Steven Anderson doesn't hate. Many of his sermons are about the various marginalized groups that he would like to unalive.
Let me just show you who he is.
Here, put this in your pipe and smoke it. If I had a button right here on the pulpit, I could just push this button and every would fall over dead. I'll push it until it breaks. If I had a button on the pulpit, I could push it and every homosexual would fall over dead. I will push it until I break my finger.
But it also turns out that he hates most of his own family and community.
Just totally betrayed me in the worst possible way. All 4 of my adult children have totally betrayed me. My best friend and fellow pastor, Roger Jimenez, David Berzins, who I did nothing but good for 18 years.
If everyone who is within arm's length of you is turning on you, at some point you should probably consider who the common denominator is. The reason his equally fundamentalist family members are turning against him is because he allegedly treats them so poorly that even folks who believe you shouldn't spare the rod think he goes too far.
But you know what? Option B is in God's control. And this is why I'm a little upset. This is why I'm mad. Because option B is that I want God to punish them in a spectacular public way, so that I can be vindicated and so the Lord can show that he's on my side. And I'm talking about my brother Clint, and I'm talking about my 4 evil, rebellious children, and I'm talking about Paul Wittenberger. Those 6 people need to reap, they either need to get right with God or they need to reap the whirlwind, or I am not going to continue pastoring. I'm just telling you that right now.
Wouldn't that be a shame? He is now giving an ultimatum to God, and even other Christians are forced to admit that he sucks.
So if God doesn't judge basically innocent people, if God doesn't punish innocent people who are exposing abuse, Steven Anderson, who believes himself to be a servant of God, is going to say, well, I'm not going to refuse God. I'm not going to serve God. I'm not going to serve God if God doesn't do for me exactly what I want him to do. That's literally blackmail, bud.
Given how hateful this guy has been for so long, this reaction is long overdue. We had to wait until the people most directly exposed to his alleged behavior were old enough to speak out for Christians to finally get fed up with him.
You know, and so I just want God, I don't want to continue unless God definitively goes to bat for me. And I don't think that's too much to ask, you know, and maybe God's up in heaven thinking that it is too much for me to ask. Well, you know what? Sorry, God, because you know what? I have my limits as a human being. And if you don't fix my situation, then I'm going to retire from this job.
If God doesn't think I deserve revenge against my children, then God is wrong. I don't know how any Christian could continue to support this guy.
What value is there in any of this for the congregation? What value is that this is just a person ranting and raving and complaining? The pastor is supposed to shepherd the people of God into trusting God, believing God's promises, trusting in God's provision, all of that. They have children too in this culture. And so what are they getting from their shepherd right now is, the culture poisons your children against you. So what does it even matter? They're just going to be lied to by the culture and you're going to lose them anyway, kind of a thing. And so what's the point? What are the people of God getting in terms of Christ and hope from the pulpit in a case like this? Nothing, which means you need to step down. You're not well. Step down.
He even wonders why he should bother continuing to raise the few kids who haven't turned against him, given that they'll eventually realize what a piece of shit he is someday.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. You know, and it's like, and ask me how motivated I am to have a super close relationship with my teenage daughter, Rebecca, right here, 17 years old, and my teenage daughter, Anna, right here, 15 years old. You know, it's kind of hard for me to even want to invest in that relationship when I had the perfect, ideal relationship with Miriam, and that's what she did to me. And you know what? I love you, Rebecca. I love you, Anna. But you know what? It's hard for me to even be able to have that kind of a relationship with you.
Here are some of the shenanigans this guy has gotten into in the past.
Oh, you need to just make things right with your children, Pastor Anderson. You just need to just swallow your pride, be the bigger person.
No.
That was Steven Anderson, pastor of Faithful Word Baptist Church in Arizona. Now, Steven Anderson is no stranger to controversy. For over a decade, I've seen him come under fire for various positions that he has held. In fact, the first time I ever remember actually seeing him was when he was tased by law enforcement during a traffic stop.
That was pretty funny.
And it's no secret that I would have many fundamental differences with him regarding theology. He has stated that he believes that Calvinism is heresy.
Pentagram is more like Calvinism to me. You know, they should make their 5 points into an upside down star because it's a satanic doctrine.
Now, this position surprises me because some of the most hateful Christians I've ever seen have been Calvinists due to their belief that God created some people who are predestined to go to hell and there is nothing they can do to be saved.
And I'm a Calvinist. He also is a firm believer in King James onlyism.
I don't even think the New King James is even really a translation. I think it's a fraud.
And I don't use the King James.
Some King James only people even believe that where the King James differs from the Hebrew and Greek texts from which it was translated, it's because those original texts are wrong.
So there's certainly many areas where he and I would disagree. But those are not the concerns that I want to raise in today's video. Now, today I want to address a more recent issue that's arisen in the life and ministry of Steven Anderson. In 2024, one of Anderson's adult sons gave a public interview alleging severe physical abuse in the Anderson home. The allegations included excessive corporal punishment, domestic violence, and other abusive behavior. Later, more of Anderson's adult children came forward and described similar allegations. Now, these issues built to a fever pitch, and in a recent sermon, Anderson came straight out and said that he was praying that God would vindicate him and his ministry.
Well, where exactly do fundamentalists draw the line? If you're allowed to use a rod for discipline, why not a cable, which is what his kids allege? Obviously, I'm disgusted by the idea of using either, but where in the Bible is that distinction made?
But I'm just telling you, my heart is not in this job anymore, and it's not going to be in this job anymore until God shows himself mighty on my behalf.
God better get his act together or he's going to have to answer to Steven Anderson.
But honestly, that sermon isn't really what I want to address today. I will say I found that sermon to be sad and difficult to watch. It's obvious to me that Anderson is feeling the enormous weight of pressure that these allegations have brought upon him and his family. And for the record, I want to be clear. I don't know whether the allegations are true or not. I have my opinions based upon what I've seen of him publicly, but I'm not in a position to know with certainty his guilt or innocence regarding the accusations that have been made. Multiple family members have made serious allegations, and Anderson has denied those allegations. I'm not personally in a position to adjudicate the facts of what has happened inside their home.
Given how many people are making the allegations and how many of them share his theology, it's hard to imagine what the motivation would be to make things up about him.
And then I saw other heresies, and I just kept on going after Anderson because I knew he was dangerous. That's the whole point. And we've had our, tiffs back and forth and things. He'd talk about me, and he'd attack me and things, and I'd, back and forth. And so now that, all the stuff's coming out about him abusing his children and being a pervert and whatever else, everybody's, what do you have to think about that, Brother Brian? It's pretty much what I thought would happen, But here's the point. I remember he started to attack Sam Gipp as well, and Sam Gipp made a very good statement. And that statement was, he said that he was talking to his wife, and he said, he said, I've thought over the years that someday the devil's going to raise up somebody to make Bible-believing Christians look stupid. And he said, I believe that's Steven Anderson. And Sam Gipp was exactly right on that whole thing.
There are lots of pastors who make Christians look stupid. Anderson just makes them look sadistic.
The title of my sermon this evening is Why I Do Not Want to Continue Pastoring. Why I do not want to continue pastoring. Now, let me say this, first of all. I am not quitting today, and I'm not even saying that I'm quitting at all. But I want to be very candid with you tonight about how I feel about things and what I'm going through. If God does not intercede in my situation and fix my situation, then I do not want to continue. I have never been, and anybody who knows me knows this is true, I have never been an angry or bitter person.
Clearly, never an angry word out of this guy ever.
Being constantly told that I'm evil, constantly told that I'm an idiot, zero respect from my fellow loser fundamental Baptists over the last 21 years.
Even his fellow losers have turned against him.
I can deal with being hated by and sodomites and atheists. Who cares what they think? Who cares what these fools think? Who cares what the Roman Catholic pagan idolaters think? But I have been betrayed in the worst way by my only physical brother. And you know what? My poop stain of a brother, Clint, the evil piece of crap that is my brother Clint. The only way that he could have screwed me over worse and betrayed me worse would be, I think, to commit adultery with my wife. It's pretty much the only worst thing that worthless piece of trash could have done.
A sane person would take this as a sign to self-reflect. Steve seems to think that he's incapable of being wrong. Apparently, even when he has a different opinion from God, he still isn't wrong.
I've been betrayed by my only physical brother who I trusted just totally betrayed me in the worst possible way. All 4 of my adult children have totally betrayed me. My best friend and fellow pastor, Roger Jimenez, David Berzins, who I did nothing but good for 18 years, taught him everything, baptized him, got his wife saved, baptized her, and him and his piece of trash wife have just betrayed me, slandered me, evil, rotten people. A whole nother long list. I mean, we could list all the so-called fake pastor friends.
He's even got a whole nother list of people who know he's a jerk. To everyone who helps me out on Patreon, you're a big help. Thanks so much.